pull off things like the Orisa. Hey, well, what else are we really expected to see from Team for Victory to possibly adapt, as we will head to, actually it looks to be Shrine first?
I think it just comes down to how they approach the attack. Although they force Orisa compositions everywhere, it just comes down to how they manage the space. You're seeing Ming on the Doomfist, and the composition does or doesn't by how much Ming is able to pull off into the backline. Doomfist will find picks. It's how the team ends up dealing with it, as we're on board with Rose is a very good diva to fight the course.
Well, it will be opening first blood from Doglight onto Recall. Pretty important target. Lucky Future getting a little bit more stable here as they will not have that speed boost coming through. Nice halt placement put out just to kind of separate the team. And Lucky Future, it looks like they're trying to dive the backline. They will get there successfully to find the Symmetric plus as well the Brigida, but they still have to find a response for Nico. Team for Victory will actually open up the point in their favor first, and Ming is actually having quite a presence on the Doomfist. Again, not the greatest patch for this hero in specific, but he's absolutely making it work. One more rocket punch to take down the Pilot Diva, and Team for Victory will walk away with the first blood win.
Yeah, and kind of gives you shades of when Evil X was forcing Sombra in a, exactly in a place where Sombra wasn't exactly meta. But if you let Ming go running rampant in your backline, you're gonna end up having a lot of problems to deal with, especially for since Lucky Future's flex support on Ana needs to keep their wits about them. Roses needs to do a lot of damage mitigation just to try to effectively deal with Doglight and Ming in the backline. Team for Victory set up on this point. It's gonna be very hard to debunk them off here, Ship.
I would say if Doglight stays for free for long, that photon projector could be really devastating, just piercing through. Nico, I don't know how he dies first and foremost, but he does get taken down. Thousand able to clean up the supercharger, so now it just comes down to slapping through the rest of everyone who is there. Shatter doesn't quite clip what he wanted to, but I don't think it's going to make much of a difference here, Panda, as you see the wall coming out, and again, the photon barrier not going to do well in this when it comes down to not having a front line anyway, so Team for Victory will have to soft reset. Point will flip for Lucky Future.
Yeah, you throw out the wall because you want to end up using the Symmetra ultimate for blocking the Shadow, but the Shadow is already blocked from not hitting anything from 1,000, so you just throw it out as a consolation prize. Team for Victory really threw everything in the kitchen sink out in that fight, quite literally using every single ultimate besides Kino's rally that's about to be coming through, and they need to be careful with this. The one problem with this composition, you'll notice, the two supports that they have, no defensive ultimates. They're walking with the self-destruct from Roses right now from Lucky Future. Oh, you can't fly there.
Concussive Blast not allowing Nico to get back, but Jimmy will bring him back into battle with the Resurrection. Mello sitting near full charge, also has a Graviton Surge. When will we see it? Doomfist being a distraction. Nice little uppercut to come through. Rocket Punch will also be used, but he gets locked into place. Teleporter is used, so actually a couple players do get out of that range just before could be completely sucked in, but again, not going to make a difference. Team for Victory not able to sustain themselves with just the Orisa in play with the Mercy. Jimmy also biotic grenaded, so he will not be able to self-sustain himself through it, but it looks like they will peel back once again, but still Lucky Future in control of the point.
Yeah, that's what's mostly interesting, again, just to put more focus on since why Lucky Future in the 3-3 composition can run Ana. You don't necessarily need the double defensive ultimate. You need more sustain for the chronic amount of damage that your front line is taking. You just need to keep 1,000 alive. You see already about to have another Earth Shatter, keeping Mello's charge as well. Always statically layering in damage. Oh, Nico!
He gets an opportunity to drop in a barrage, but it does get countered pretty nicely by 1,000 before too much damage could be dealt. Rose is now looking for a way to punish this front line that's gotten a little bit overextensive. Will change his direction to the back line, but Ming is actually, again, doing a really nice job with his Doomfist, staying alive and finding a lot of eliminations. He'll Rocket Punch back into battle. Again, just the staggered play here coming from Lucky Future to try to generate as much percentage as possible. It will flip for TFE, but they have no ultimates to play for this next fight.
Like I said, you can't let Ming do that in your backline. So there's a lot of space that's being created. The supercharger to the camo from OR-15A helped out Ming not much further. 50% to another Meteor Strike, and might as well be approaching last fight territory here. If the fight doesn't go decisively, Mello needs to build this last bit of the Graviton Surge and take the point back for Lucky Future. 1,000 missed with the Shatter beforehand. Can they lay down the hammer to success this time around?
Oh, nicely placed wall actually coming out from Orisa. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to keep her alive, but it does block the Earth Shatter for a small time. Nice little shield bash onto Ming, who has to be forced out, and he gets a little bit of help from Recall as well with that sound wave pushing him back, but this is again going to be a swap in favor of Lucky Future. They're cleaning up the scraps, and now it's going to have to be staggered for Team for Victory to try to give themselves one more go. It's not looking great. Mercy doing what she can to fly to and fro, but will be locked into place by Mello, and it looks like Lucky Future should be able to clean this one up no problem. You can see Orisa just having a really tough time even walking back the point without having a Lucio next to her, so it just comes down to cleaning things up. Meteor Strike up, Meteor Strike down, sound barrier also dropping for Lucky Future, and now the cleanup should be secured.
Yeah, the one fight that Lucky Future ended up losing in the middle of that round of Shrine as they take it Was Recall is just pulling out Sound Barrier in the middle of the fight once 1000 took a little bit of too much damage. Popped out Sound Barrier just to over-sustain themselves in the mid-fight. Wasn't even really necessary. Now, one defensive ultimate you definitely want to be using to keep your backline sustained through all the damage that Ming and Nico are finding. As we load into our next stage here, Shift, it's actually going to be Village. So Team for Victory ends up getting control at this point, and OR15A, Orisa, as you can only assume is actually what that spells out, is going to be really hard to debunk. But you notice the problems at the tail end of that stage. Orisa just has such a hard time re-engaging fights. The shield gets absolutely obliterated with as much charge as Melo is being able to hold on this Zarya. Everything in their path is just getting absolutely obliterated. Lucky Future now taking another swap, synced over to the Moira. I really like this decision. There's a lot of damage that needs to be mitigated in the backline. It can't be eaten. It can't always be mitigated. So you need to have that fade ability just to keep yourself alive and get the healing to your teammates as much as possible.
Well, not only that, but you can also bounce around that biotic orb to heal or deal damage off the walls inside that point. So maximum efficiency off that ability as well. Mig again trying to set things up. Will bounce around the Diva, who will be demacked. A nice uppercut as well. And again, Team for Victory starting off very nicely. The high ground control was in their favor. They're able to get a couple eliminations. Now looking for the cleanup. Ming unfortunately missing a rocket punch, but there should be enough players here as well as sentry turrets to lock players in place. Nice uppercut once again, but not able to finish off 1000 completely as he did get pinned through. Melo, the last player left. Teleporter dancing happening for Team for Victory, but as soon as they take care of the Zarya, it will flip this point back in their favor. Just comes down to how long and when, if when, because Lucky Future will actually get the speed boost to come back in from Recall. Again, another advantage for the side of Lucky Future when it comes to utilizing Lucio, when it comes to just the sheer mobility. Now, again, the Photon Barrier coming through to try to block everything off and half it. The eliminations are looking good for Team for Victory, but can they completely clean up these big bodies? The damage security is not quite 100% there. And again, Orisa is doing what she can to stay grounded, but you have to try to build some time to allow your team to come all the way through. And 1000 is turning this fight by himself. He will be dropped away. Ming finally getting the elimination, but again, look at all this free capture percentage for Lucky Future here, Panda. They're already up to 55%.
Team for Victory, they have the man advantage, but they don't have the sustain. Look how much resources are being put into Melo placed on the Graviton Surge. Melo can't be eliminated.
This is insane. Coalescence will take care of the Airborne Mercy, man. Plus the right clip Biotic Grasp to take care of Orisa, and a little bit of a farewell in the emote category. 73%. Again, Team Victory has the win for so long, but they're not able to clean everything up. Is it just sheer damage? You said the sustain was a problem, but where else is it going wrong for them?
For Team for Victory, it's just dealing and chasing the rotations for Lucky Future. Team for Victory, without this Lucio that Lucky Future has, what most 3-3 comps have, you can't chase it down. Sure, Ming can as a very mobile hero, and the waltz that you were talking about with the teleporter from Doglight, you might be able to get a little bit more sustain, but this is the problem that you're having. You cannot out-sustain any of the healing that Lucky Future has in this 3-3 composition.
Roses trying for the anti-air self-destruct, but nobody for TFE can get on and touch. You see the Photon Barrier there. The teleporter was also placed, but honestly, this Symmetra is just not finding a lot of value when it comes down to dealing what she needs to be doing, which is slowing down the entirety of the team with the sentry turrets, but more importantly, using that Photon Projector to pierce through shields. It just feels like the damage isn't being confirmed besides from anyone else but Ming at the moment.
Yeah, all it takes for those DPS compositions, you have to focus fire something, you have to get those picks, and you have to turn the fight decisively and quickly.
Indeed. LaFon, I got to get your take. Again, we were talking about this one-trick composition. I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts about it.
Yeah, not all of them pleasant, I might add.
Fair.
It hurts me, right? Because I feel like this composition is fundamentally wrong for this point. There's certain times where you can dress up certain plays as being, you know, okay, they made a mistake here, right? Okay, they're running a Sombra at a point she's not particularly viable, but, you know, they're finding value because they get a hack off and they collapse on the target. If you're playing Orisa on control and it's not Sanctum and you're not running double sniper, you know, you're kind of not doing anything. And, you know, you can't retake with Orisa. It's really, really tough. She's a static tank. She doesn't really move a whole lot. So, you know, there's that element of it. And, I mean, Lucky Future has not made it look good because the shatters should have been a lot freer than they actually were. But it doesn't matter because you can't put your positioning on the point, and we got some highlight, you know, the highlight pack coming through, and I just feel for Lucky Future, they have to be happy with how they won, but it's been a mess, honestly, for both teams in terms of their engage and disengage.
Yeah, they definitely won, but was it as decisive as they wanted? I don't think so. They looked very scrambled and very very disjointed during all of that. And that's what that composition wants to do. Even if they don't find success, they're absolutely just disrupting you with the Doomfist, and they're not winning these fights decisively. In fairness
to Lucky Future, though, the saying is the top swordsman does not fear the second best. He fears the amateur.
True.
It's compositionally 3-3 is the top, and what TFV are running is.
It's certainly a sword. It's certainly a sword.
It's got chips all over, but yeah. So I feel it really doesn't. For TFV, they're kind of running up against a composition that Lucky Future would never have scrimmed against. You don't play against this composition, right? So there might be an element of that coming into play here too for Lucky Future. So the fact they take the victory is good, but they certainly had to sweat for it.
Indeed. Well, that will conclude Nepal and our control. When we return after the short break, we'll be taking a look at map 2 and see if Team for Victory can clean things up. Well, really, if both teams can clean things up, we'll try to tidy ourselves up as well. We'll catch you in the back out of the break.
As competitive as possible. I can at least say that much about Team for Victory as they load out for their attack first. You know that's definitely them, the Symmetra and Reaper with Jimmy on that Mercy. Nobody does it better. And one thing that we're actually seeing a little bit different, OR15A. Picking up a different tank, pulling out the hamster this time around, looking for some backline peel and pressure so that way Keno can layer in the frontline damage with the Hellfire shotguns. I respect it.
However, things not looking as great as you may have hyped up initially there, Panda. Immediately demolished was that hamster ball, and now it just comes down to TFB actually not going away. As the Reaper was trying to poke for a little bit of extra charge, they will very wisely reset back, wait for their frontliner to come back in. I'm mostly interested to see how exactly Doglight will be able to use his teleporter to try to maybe grant some positioning advantage for Keno and the rest of TFB, but right for the moment, Keno's just happy to just shoulder peek this corner and to just continue to use those big old shotguns to just try to plug away at the shield so far. And now he's got to be very careful as he will use the shift away. Rose is doing a good job of helping put in a little bit of extra damage. The hamster ball coming on through, trying to leave some open space for Ming to dive on in. Also, the Sombra able to feel some distraction, but TFB not really able to find a whole lot of success. Now, finally, Ming will dive on in. He's been their kill potential as of late. They're able to send the Diva almost off the map. Will Meteor Strike right on top. Not able to find any kills with it, but it looks like TFB have pulled enough distraction to at least allow them to capture the point, but it's at the last second as the Beta Bomb was able to find 2, almost able to get that defense back in order.
I like that from Roses. It's like, yeah, you can have the point, but take this! And Team for Victory just... I'm kind of choking over the words of just saying they did that really well, right? OR15A taking the frontline pressure so that way Keno and Ming can go into the backline, find a lot of success in the hacks from Nico. It just kind of disables Lucky Future's shield management, and that's why you're seeing Keno taking a long time to charge these Death Blossoms and finding value in it, because Lucky Future, if they do one thing very, very well, it's managing their shields.
This is a great position from Rose. He's able to come on through, push everybody away from that photon barrier, making sure his team has the field to essentially get the soft reset, but he deals a lot of extra damage from that back line for free. Now it comes down to what will potentially be used next. Being able to find Synth, it's a really huge pick for Team for Victory as they can now move in without that extra sustain for Lucky Future. Meteor Strike for the second time up and down. Will not find much. The sound barrier will be given for Lucky Future. They're not going to speed boost behind it as they are able to take down Orisa, OR15A, as you very aptly put the nomenclature on hand, but I'm pretty sure the lead speak will come through for Orisa here. Mello at full charge will essentially mean Team for Victory will not have much of a chance to demolish this front line like they want to. Be very careful. 1000 looking for a pin. Minefield in actually a really good spot with the pile driver coming through. Teleporter also being utilized, but Jimmy goes down from the self-destruct sequence. Doglight also falling, and now Team for Victory need to back up and reset again.
Yeah, let's not forget, this is patch 1.32, so the movement changes are not in effect until we hit playoffs here shift, so not going to be able to find a lot more value with that. Good counter punch to knock down 1000 on the ground actually gets OR15A out for free. I will not be deterred. I will not be deterred. The OR15A and Doomfist working together is very interesting within its own right, because if you go all the way back to Nubani in the airport, Doomfist actually obliterated multiple OR14, so, you know, this is still amazing, never in the end, too. Team for Victory is going to have actually an EMP and a Death Blossom here. If they find 1 or 2 with this shift, Lucky Future's going to crumble.
EMP, though, only finds 3, and Mello was able to get the sound barrier off beforehand. The boost also being utilized. Death Blossom finds absolutely nothing, and Lucky Future will take them to shop and clean up along the way. Doglight, last player left, will also fall. And again, they get the big key there was the Sombra EMP comes up, but Mello was able to hit the Graviton Surge beforehand.
Yeah, the adaptation coming through from Lucky Future all the way from Control, they're not playing these games anymore. They're really focus firing every single target, managing their shields properly, right down to Roses with the Defense Matrix. You only have 2 seconds on that, keep in mind. And able to mitigate so much damage coming through from Kino is so key here. Ming going for the punch to the backline, misses wildly.
He gets booped up in the air by something. Not exactly sure if it was the pile driver or what, but Ming just goes right underneath him, and that puts him in a very awkward position. 1000 able to try to get some hammer swings as the hamster was slept for a small moment. Jimmy able to bring Ming back in the fight, so still 6 on 6. The Photon Projector doing some work. The Earthshatter doing more, though, and 1000 will walk on forward. Roses combining with the self-destruct. And that explosion is enough to deter any more push from Team for Victory.
Yeah, and I gotta hand it off to Sense, having fantastic positioning, really staying very far away in these fights, fighting full value out of Ana, making sure that Team for Victory really have to work to get back towards them. And even when Nico gets back there, you can see right here on your screen, MZ is just like kind of the pillar in between that you have to get through this raid boss first. Nico just trying to look for any sort of opening, giving information over to Lucky Future. What they won't know is that Ming's coming in with the Meteor Strike along with OR-15A's Minefield. So if they're, again, finding value in 1 or 2, the 3-3 composition should crumble, essentially, but Lucky Future will always prevail. They have way too many resources, their management is very, very good, and their focus fire is even better.
OR-15A, Orisa looking for the minefield play. We'll put it just behind the team of Lucky Future, but there's nobody up front to push him back into it, so Lucky Future will just reposition and vie themselves underneath close to this little info obelisk, and now it will be an EMP coming through for Kino. Will there be enough follow-up, though? No Death Blossom yet, and Kino's very low. Will have to put himself in the Wraith Walk just to get on out. Mello at full charge and boosted is going to be, again, like you mentioned, that huge Wraith Boss, just a big, thick body. And, well, Zarya, she likes to work out. She gets herself pumping, and that's going to be exactly what's happening here, frying everybody in her path. 1000 doing well. I saw you cover your mouth. You like that play. I know you did.
Yeah, big thick raid boss. Can't be fully dealt with. You know, it's one of the problems, and you know that's why you don't really see many DPS compositions really working against 3-3. That's why no teams really even try their best to do it. The best iteration would be the 3-2-1 with the Sombra. But 8 seconds now on the clock. Team for Victory has the Meteor Strike. Might even have to invest it just to get to the point. Wall's going to come through. It's going to keep everything clear. They do start overtime this time around Shift.
That wasn't a bad spot for the Photon Barrier to start things up, but unfortunately there's just no follow-up. Finally, Nico able to get himself involved. Mello the first one down. An opportunity. Sound Barrier comes out just as Ming goes up for the Meteor Strike, so he has to wait to come down so he finds full damage efficiency. Self-destruct sequence also being utilized. Well, zone players back. The shield blocks everything from the Death Blossom. And it looks like Lucky Future will sustain that first little push from Team for Victory. We are in overtime, and TFE need to touch the point. A nice biotic grenade on top will actually take down Ming very quickly. Minefield finding very little value. 1000 able to push everybody back, and Team for Victory cannot stay on the point. A nice little defensive hold for Lucky Future in the face of a lot of adversity. The whole tool shed was thrown at them from Team for Victory's point of view.
Yeah, every single tool in the toolbox, plus the shed and the panels and the shingles on the roof too. Everything.
Absolutely everything. I mean, the biggest thing for me, it just comes down to, you know, again, mild success. We're looking at a different setup though. So for LaFon, you know, what are we looking at? Is this actually more successful, or we want to see them go back to their one-trick comp?
I wanted to, you know, I think for Team for Victory, it's less about what they're doing and more what Lucky Future is doing, because I think they're doing something really, really good. Something that Lucky Future has done that other teams like have kind of fallen prey to in the past, or hasn't done, I suppose, is that they're not falling to the trap of the DPS composition, right? They're playing the 3-3. You know, they're modifying a little bit with the Ana because that is to deal with the sheer amount of damage coming through, but they're making and the fact that Zen is kind of paper thin against you know, a Doomfist Sombra combination. But Lucky Future is not bowing to the DPS. We saw against Flag that Flag tried to play their own game back at them and then lost the map of it. GZA, same thing. I think here against TFE, Lucky Future is doing the right thing. They're playing the 3-3 and they're making sure to play it properly and conscientiously. There's no trying to do weird flanks or try and solo grab. It's just play the smart, simple game and force TFE to make mistakes, because they're going to make a lot of them, and why not punish them when they happen?
There's a lot of openings.
I was about to say, it seems like the mistakes have been actually forced pretty nicely. LaFon, thank you for your insight on Lucky Future. Heading back into game, we'll switch the sides. TFV, let's see what they'll come out this time around. Defensively, Nika will actually be pulling out the Widowmaker this time. So again, just a multitude of different looks for Lucky Future to respond to.
Or 15A, sticking on the hamster. I respect it. Pulling out a different hero here in week 5. Really pulling out all the stops. But you see Team for Victory taking a little bit of iterations themselves. Gonna keep Keno on to this Reaper. Ming now on the Pharah, taking swaps across the board. Team for Victory really taking a deep dive into their hero pool.
And Ming finding a lot of damage thanks to the good pile driver. It actually knocked up, it looked to be all 6 players almost off the map. And yes, off the map go a couple of players for Lucky Future. So this first push will not go well. Look at all that concussive blast in the kill feed. Ming cleaning up with the boot backs.
Lucky Future this time around as they walk in. The one change that they brought was Sins on the Moira. Like LaFon was saying in the wonderful analysis, this is the iteration that they need to take. Whether it's sheer damage from Team for Victory or just self-sustain. Ming again!
What? I don't really know where he found that concussive blast, but you'll take it.
What?
And now it's gonna, again, just take off time from the clock. Lucky Future has to wait. They cannot go in without their Lucio here. Sins on the Moira, very close to the Coalescence, and that might be what they need to try to take care of this Pharah, simply because...
It's not gonna be enough.
It's not, no, they lose the Moira again. So TFB, with the defensive pressure, with all this DPS, are absolutely manhandling this choke point.
Jokes aside, there is still a win condition set. The point was unlocked, and there's 80, almost 9% meters that Lucky Future still have to gain. Team for Victory are building their ultimates very fast. This barrage in the pocket for Ming, and R15A is just gonna hang out and look for the pile driver with the minefield. Look at Ming just looking for anything he finds value. Amazing.
Takes down Sins again. Now Nico, look at he lined up. Good pile driver. Will try to set up some headshots. Will not quite be able to connect, just a bit outside. Now finally able to reconnect. Nicely found from Nico. An amazing punishment, only coming off the barrage with the Infrasight combo.
Yeah, you said it best. They only essentially use the barrage. The infrared sight is a consolation prize. Because Lucky Future are playing 3-3, there's only so many different routes that they're going to be coming from. It's not like one of them is going to be flanking around anytime soon. It's just going to be able to help Nico land up these shots that much more. So now they have the photon barrier and the minefield that they still held on to. They're building up to this Death Blossom too. Lucky Future are struggling here, Shift. Recall is charging this sound barrier very slow.
Sins, though, we'll look at the Coalescence. A nice Photon Barrier utilized. You can see that Coalescence not quite able to do as much damage as he was hoping to. A little boop away from that pile driver, which would have found a lot of value. So well found, but a nice direct rocket onto Sins. We'll take him down immediately. Numbers for Team for Victory. Self-destruct sequence in desperation will not quite connect. Around and round we go for Orisa. OR15A. Death Blossom is utilized, but the Sound Barrier comes through to counter immediately into the Wraith Walk and able to sidestep away from what was that Graviton Surge. Ming, though, taken down. Nice little defensive matrix able to be placed from Lucky Future. And the side of the D.Va player just comes down to, can anything else be cleaned up? Will it need to be cleaned up? Mellow at high charge will be the body to zone, and it looks like we'll finally get some success and the capture at A.
I like how as we were on board, as they were trying to look for all these staggers, you actually hear Jimmy in the back like trying to go for the res on Keno. Like that. that's how gutsy he is. He doesn't care about the 30-second cooldown, man. He's just like, I need my friends back right now. Ming staying on this Pharah can be very tough. Gonna find a lot of damage in this choke. But Mello holding onto this energy is going to be very difficult for R15A to find this next pile driver. They need to deal with this Zarya very effectively and find any sort of picks if they want to sustain themselves on the point. Again, they are about halfway to this win here as the pile driver comes through.
With the minefield in combination and the rockets from overhead, it's a lot of explosives to deal with, but Lucky Future sustained through it and find the first elimination of the fight. Ming, you got to be a little careful here, because you know that that Wrecking Ball will not be here to help peel away for you. Able to knock the Reinhardt a little bit closer to the team, but no one's there to follow up. So Ming will be forced to essentially play the bridge, wait for this barrage, will actually let it loose, thinking that there's win condition involved. As again, Lucky Future getting very close to that golden checkbox of victory. They're able to take down MZ first, trying to focus out Minnow, and that's going to be enough with, I think, with that concussive blast to force Mello into a bad spot. The Sentry Turret does the job. Since also in the Coalescence, but that will not be enough to deal damage or sustain the team. Ming able to hold down W from here. It looks like Team for Victory will hold on. Still a minute and change, though, to defend this last little push.
They shut down the Coalescence. They get it out. 1000 will have the Earthshatter coming through, as will Recall and the Sound Barrier. They're actually going to be walking back in with all tank ultimates. Team for Victory, though, I gotta hand it off to Ming. That barrage was actually very, very high level right there. Recognizing that Roses didn't have the boosters available to mitigate the barrage from afar, Ming finds a lot of value in that. Already 65%. These direct rockets are getting out of hand. Lucky Future need to do a better job of managing their shields and just deciding for Roses on what needs to be eaten and when. Because Team for Victory are just finding a lot of value out of Ming through this entire match.
Well, how about Lucky Future just opted to go inside to come back out and try to avoid that line of sight. Earthshatter gets dropped, but does not find anything, and Orisa's actually right in the mix here as the Wrecking Ball. The barrage comes through, the Death Blossom in combination as well. Team for Victory going to hold on. Mello, though, says that there's win condition here and says he's going to drop in the Graviton Surge, but I don't know if I like the call, as they will be turned aside, thwarted once again, just under 60 seconds to finish.
And Team for Victory had to commit so many ultimates just to do that, including the Photon Barrier, 2 DPS ultimates at that. They're going to have the all-powerful infrared sight to recognize where Lucky Future are going to be rotating to. 1000's actually swapping over to the Winston, recognizing that there are a lot of squishy targets for Team for Victory that can be obliterated by the Tesla cannon, but not finding value in Reinhardt. I actually really like this choice. Get a lot more backline pressure, try to get to Nico, and just try to force out any more errors. Like LaFon was saying, this is the way that you beat Team for Victory. You don't let them control the tempo. You have to force them into making errors.
Concussive Blast able to be combined with the Pile Driver and Minefield. Coalescence also being used for sits, finding a lot of damage but not finding any eliminations. Team Victory still involved. Doglight first one to fall. Bionic Grasp tried to be used to take down the Reaper, sidestepping around him, and the numbers are good. Team Victory can't contest for long enough, and Lucky Future will take the map. Last time they played here, they only found themselves 1 point against Team CC, so little bit of an extra boost there, as they'll not complete the second stage, but get far enough to get the 2-0 lead in the series. Quite a display, though. I mean, again, Team for Victory in a pretty decent spot to try to hold things back for Lucky Future, but not quite able to close the job there.
Yeah, you know what's really funny is that when you have 3 tanks, they actually sustain a little bit better on the point versus just the one. I'm sure LaFon would probably have his reservations about everything that we've been seeing from Lucky Future so far. I know how he personally feels about Moira. We won't dive into that one that much further, but the iterations that were coming through, this is what I was talking about coming from Nepal. These fights are getting a little bit too close.
And LaFon, I got to bring you in to get your opinion on this, because, yeah, you're the guy that's been kind of putting a lot of weight on this compositional change.
I mean, you know, Lucky Future, they just want to make you sweat a little bit, you know? Keep it
working.
Yeah, but I mean, like, what's a win without a little drama, you know? And Lucky Future, they're bringing it in spades. Is last fight is where it comes down to. But no, I think for the Moira pick specifically, it's actually a good choice. You need the mobility, you need the sheer healing output. And you need the survivability, so I like the pick there. But no, I think what it comes down to is Lucky Future. You can see where this team is. You can see where this team is still young. You can see where this team is still learning how to play the game at a very high level, because the moments as we're gonna get the highlight back here, like Mello's grab at the very end there, you know, in Fight Before Last and penultimate fight rather. You know, you don't want to spend the Graviton Surge there, but he does. It doesn't punish them, thankfully, but you can definitely see there's moments where they're still a little bit on the edge in terms of execution.
And okay, so execution from here on out, we had to find the reverse sweep for Team for Victory. I mean, again, you want to just come out with a W. I know, a tough task, but again, let's just put the coaching hat on for both of you guys. What does TFE have to do from here to try to pull this one all the way through for the reverse sweep?
Just like on that first point shift, if they control the tempo and they force Lucky Future into these very inauspicious areas of any map, they will find value. Ming will find damage, and he will find eliminations, which against a 3-3 composition, if you lose 1 or 2 pieces of the train, it just falls off the tracks.
I echo what I said earlier, and I echo what Panda said just now, is force the issue. Play faster, play very, very fast. You're making a ton of mistakes already anyway. Just force it up to, like, dial it to 11. Just dial it to 11. There's no way Lucky Future is going to be able to deal with it. They're already struggling with a 10. So if you put it up that next point, it could make things. It could have things break for Lucky Future.
Well, we'll see. The only difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little bit extra, which may be what comes between 10 and 11. You both are looking at me with like the most dead eyes in the world, like Shift. I can't believe you just said that. Team for Victory, we got their win condition in front of them. Lucky Future, though, like we mentioned, to get the playoffs, for sure, they have to get a 4-0. We'll be heading to map 3 just after this break to see if they can do it. Stick with us.
Especially for Lucky Future's sanity. This could be where the strides come through, especially as you see on your screen. Here comes OR15A yet again on the hamster. These changes have actually helped them greatly. You do not attack this with Orisa. Attacking any point whatsoever is just very difficult. Defending is a different story, but when you're attacking, you almost want to go this. This is as close to a meta composition that we've seen from Team for Victory so far.
Well, meta, again, you say that, but again, we're not quite to that DPS patch where this would actually potentially pop off this composition. So still dealing with some inabilities and hindrances from the current patch. Everyone looking for this health pack inside. Only one player can take it, though. Ming doing a nice job of delaying. Meteor Strike will be utilized, coming straight on in, but not quite able to find the eliminations that I think he wanted to. Without Orisa being here, how long can you contest? The answer is not very, although Jimmy will go for a res and get punished immediately for it. Nico also switching back over to the Widowmaker for this attack.
Yeah, but he got the res off, and that's what matters the most. You know, Jimmy.
Does it?
It does. No, it really does, because that's the aggression of Jimmy. You know, like, he just no fear in this Mercy's eyes. He's just like, yeah, 3 people near this resurrection. I got you, Ming. Don't worry about it, bro. Quick DPS ultimates coming out here for Team for Victory, but they're not finding any sort of success with it.
No, they are not, as Ming is the first one down. Will be re-rezzed up again. Graviton Surge utilized, able to find a couple of members of TFV, and now all of a sudden, it just comes up to cleaning up these low health pool bodies. Mellow, though not at nearly as full charge as I think he would like to be, but again, it doesn't make too much of a difference. Too many numbers. Doing a nice job of delaying for a long time, but this might just result in a longer stagger. As again, no Wrecking Ball here. Jimmy falls, and now 1000 will push forward to make sure there is no respawn help, and that will force Team Victory for finally full reset.
And that's really unfortunate too, because Team for Victory would have had an opening there. The one elimination that they found was Ming onto Since actually needs recall to go back to bring them back with the speed boost. Lucky Future would have been down 2 members, 2 supports at that, and Team for Victory with this high mobile composition would have been able to get in there. Nico swaps over to the Hanzo now, more shield and burst damage with the Storm Arrow.
Pile driver, meet pile driver. Orisa, though, has to reload. So TFE looking for a way in. The photon barrier comes out. Minefield on the other side. This is a lot of zoning potential. Can they clean up the backline? Since was caught by himself, but Doglight gets completely countered now. 1000 comes in with a minefield of his own. Nico swapping to the Hanzo after that infrasight was utilized from the Widow. Important to note. And once again, Team for Victory stopped at as soon as it starts almost.
Yeah, hardly ever getting any footing on the point besides Ming when he is just schmoobing through the entire backline here. You know, but this is the one thing that Lucky Future are doing really well here. The lockdown on OR15 just shows you how much ult charge Lucky Future are just garnering, and they have the ultimate bank just to combat in Team for Victory time and time again. These stagger eliminations, Nico resetting ultimate economy twice now over to the Tracer. What a sleep start!
Sit! Go home, take a nap, go to sleep, everything. Nice little flick shot there from Since. Again, you mentioned the staggers. That's going to be even more punishing. No ultimate still online for Team for Victory.
Yeah, last team fight scenario too. Nico, again, another swap over to Roadhog. Sure, you can build that ultimate very quickly, and Team for Victory now, with these 2 tanks, can sustain a lot on the point, but also give that much more ult charge. Mello already has the Graviton Surge, can use it early on. With the amount of charge that Mello still has in the Particle Beam Cannon, can probably get another one in the middle of this fight, if it goes long enough.
If it goes long enough. MZ will start things off. Mello with a Graviton Surge, Minefield right in the middle of it. Dogfight being zoned out by 1000, and well, again, can't even get past the starting line. A nice little toggle to make sure he can track down the Symmetra, as 1000 will have to bail on out. But again, the separation is appreciated from the rest of his team. Team for Victory, no real chance here. They will commit a couple more ultimates just to try to keep themselves in contest, as Kino will find recall. So maybe an opportunity just dancing in and out of this photon barrier from the Symmetra. But again, the numbers are still here for Lucky Future for the time being. Meteor Strike up and then right back down. Ming very low in HP. Will generate a little bit of shielding, but needs healing more than anything else, and no one is there. That's one of the biggest problems of only having the Mercy, not able to track down the Hog, trying to be utilized, not able to stay on point for long enough. Lucky Future with the full hold.
Yeah, and that's why you see most teams just combating 3-3 with their own 3-3 in a way too. You need those defensive ultimates. You just need the sustain. The one change that Mercy unfortunately went through is with the Cadacious staff and the healing that comes through in your primary fire with Mercy. It doesn't heal past the Tesla cannon from Winston, and that says a lot, especially when you're solo supporting. That if you're not finding value in picks in the high burst damaging compositions that you're finding, especially with multiple swaps coming through from Nico and Kino, you're only going to find that that lesser value with Mercy. The damage boost can only do so much. It can only help you out so much more. And if Ming's not finding those picks, Kino, Nico's not finding those picks, if OR15 can't create the space, then that composition is essentially what you just saw. It's quite literally useless. So you can't just expect to find Synths over in the Mega Pack and just pile drive them. That's why you see most Anas playing in that area, because they have a lot of different routes that they can go to wrap around on the to the high ground, playing around on the Mega Health Pack as well. And then all three tanks from Roses, Mellow, and 1000 just completely collapse just to peel for their Ana, and you can see it's working really, really well. Even when Sense went down, it just the sheer grit that Team for Victory tried to pursue in that fight to make it quote-unquote winnable for them, it wasn't. You needed to regroup at that point. You needed to push the advantage, understanding again that Recall had to use speed to go back and get Synths, but because the fight lasted for so long, they didn't even need to. Lucky Future just let Synths just waddle back on as Ana back to the point, and they just ended up full holding them. So now the win is completely out of the window for Team for Victory. They have to play for the draw here as they go over to a composition that's a little bit known for them, OR15A, putting back on the horse pants, and will be back on Orisa.
What would horse pants look like? I'm thinking of like BoJack Horseman style. Like, I don't know if you watch that at all, but I'm wondering what that would look like for Orisa, the horse pants. You're wild. Nico does start things off nicely for TFV, able to lock down one snipe onto 1000. Without that Reinhardt being here, Lucky Future will have to bail on out, but they're caught in a very interesting spot, to say the least, as they're going to have to essentially meet up with their Reinhardt as he comes out of spawn.
Yeah, good rotation coming through from Lucky Future. The one thing that we got to accentuate here, Team for Victory, losing the series by proxy here because of the drawing condition that is here on Volskaya. They won't even have the opportunity to get a single series victory here. Good pile driver here from 1000. Good separation, in fact. This is very Chengdu Hunters-esque. I like this from Lucky Future.
Nico with a lot of discipline and patience to make sure he's able to focus the targets he needs to, but again, not going to make a difference when 1000 is in your face, punching you, throwing in miniguns. Doesn't make much sense. All they needed was 33%. It comes on the back end of that push, and Lucky Future now again with playoff set up here as they do go up 3-0. And at least as we would anticipate for so far, this is looking like a one-sided affair that Team for Victory, they're 4-0, very, very possible. And at this point, plausible.
Yeah, I cannot stress enough how much more sustain you actually get on an objective with 3 tanks comparatively to the 1. And not finding those picks is absolutely devastating for Team for Victory.
Well, LaFon, let's bring you back into the conversation here. This was probably the only spot defensively that we would see that Orisa comp try to ring successful. It gets mimicked and kind of outmatched by 1000 playing in the Wrecking Ball. So are you impressed by the adaptations from Lucky Future to make sure that Team for Victory can never feel comfortable now that they've got a little bit of a handle on this one-trick composition?
Yeah, no, I actually am really impressed. I think Lucky Future has dealt with this composition better than almost anyone this season, which is really weird to think because, you know, the TFE has given trouble to a couple of high-profile teams in terms of team fights. And I think here it's really well done by Lucky Future. They the adaptation of the Wrecking Ball into 3-3 it makes a ton of sense to me, and I like it. So the fact that 1000 is able to bring it in and provide that high level disruption and the sustain, right? Because that's the thing. You know, if you bring the Winston for that disruption, he's very squishy if you think about it. One headshot from a Widowmaker plus a Hellfire shotgun to the face, and you know Winston is dead. So the Wrecking Ball, he has adaptive shields. He has the ability to roll in and out very quickly, and you know there's not really a whole lot of stuns on Team for Victory's side. So I like that adaptation from Lucky Future. It shows that they're thinking about the game as we get our highlights in, and you know it's literally just the point being captured because not a whole lot went on the offense there. So no, I really do like how Lucky Future has worked around Team for Victory's shenanigans.
Yeah, it's only 2 swaps that they're really taking, whether it's 1000 on Winston or Hamster or Synths on Moira or Ana. The first couple of maps and stages from Nepal even ended up being just Lucky Future trying to understand how Team for Victory are playing. I mean, you're seeing teams all the way up to the Overwatch League struggling with this exact composition or just the sheer nuttiness. You cannot practice against this. You can only learn as the match goes on.
I think the last thing is Lucky Future is adapting but not falling prey to the composition the Team for Victory is running.
That's a really strong point. But again, as we mentioned, that is the set win technically for Lucky Future, but their work is not done. They need that 4-0 to just, again, like LaFon was hitting at the beginning of the broadcast, to secure their own fate for playoffs. We'll see if they can finish things up and button up this potential sweep when we come back after this break. Able to find the connection, we anticipate Kino would switch, but he's actually going to hold on to this for maybe one more attempt. So again, taking a pretty standard comp, and things are going. Wait, 2 support? You've got to be kidding me. What is this TFB? They did win this map. Again, that's what you were kind of hinging on in the break. And this is a good start for them. They're already through the car wash.
Yeah, they did end up back in week 3, for you all to know, ladies and gentlemen. They did end up beating Guangzhou Academy on this map in particular. Took it all the way across 3 capture points, and this is why they are obviously taking the flexibility chain. Ming finding picks.
Ooh,
wonderful done.
No jump for 1,000. Has to back up and hope he gets enough sustain. Thankfully, Since is quick on the draw and will help him out. 70% to that nano boost. Kino looking again for these halt hook combinations as this Orisa continues to try to ride along with this payload. Mellow near full charge. That's going to be very dangerous to deal with. Nico very low, but since will be the first one eliminated, there's a nice little projection for Mellow. He's got the entire support line in front of him. Jimmy, I think he considered for the res for a second and then thought the better of it. Not going to make a difference. Lucky Future, hold on.
So there's a really cool tech with Mercy that if you control Guardian, if you crouch Guardian Angel and then jump at the right time, you can actually gain a lot of verticality. Ming, where are you going, brother? You have 30 HP. Yeah. Oh, the whip shot from MZ. Very accurate stuff there, actually, to shut down Ming. I don't know why he was trying to find any sort of backlight pressure when he was still 30 HP. And now you got Kino here. Yep, gonna have to Wraith walk out of there. And good swaps coming through, I suppose. Nico getting closer to this Transcendence. Actually beating Mellow as far as charge is concerned. Mellow charging a very slow Graviton Surge. Very hard to find charge in general against the composition that Team for Victory is running.
And TFE, they desperately need a pick, so that way the Orisa can go and contest this payload. You can see she's just pick and bail on out, but they're gonna have to find more than that if they wanted to have a chance to contest. Primal Rage just trying to stay alive, but immediately shut down. So opportunity brewing for Team for Victory here.
They have support ultimates too. Lucky Future need to cut through them. Mel came back as the Tracer just to get back here as quick as possible. Good punch from Ming, finds recall.
Opportunity, overtime right here though, and they've had a hard time staying on the point. Projected barrier coming out from the Symmetra. Mellow on the Tracer, trying to be a distraction to Kino with this, again, those Hellfire shotguns. Not quite up to a Death Blossom yet. Sound Barrier now utilized, speed boosting back at 1,000 on the Wrecking Ball just to get here in time. Very low though, Kino able to take him down. Nice rocket punch from Ming. Death Blossom is out to find the support line. And they're absolutely gonna capture this as long as they stay on the point and make sure they don't C9 it. Again, you can see a lot of players making sure they're here, and it will be a capture for TFE.
Wow, good job for Team for Victory. Nico using that Transcendence at the beginning of that fight to sustain themselves, to even walk onto the point for Aura 15A, to find a shield and footing on the point. All 4 legs, in fact. Mellow with the farewell elimination. It's gonna end up finding Nico, but it's okay because the spawns are very close. Now they're gonna get even closer. Look at this 3 support shift. That's too many for this team.
Is it? But
no,
is it though?
It's amazing, and I love to see these iterations for Team for Victory. Even though they're getting pub stomped out here in the capture point, it's all okay because they're building ultimates. The closer that they get to these ultimates, they're going to be able to sustain themselves on the point yet again. Doglight onto the Brigitte is very smart in a way because Mellow is finding value in the Tracer. You need to lock down that Tracer and 1,000 on the Winston just so R15A can find, again, all 4 legs on the point.
Ming also trying to do what he can to be that constant distraction, waiting for all 6 players to come back through. Ming with a very short rocket punch just to make sure the D.Va does not get into his backline. Now Lucky Future posturing and trying to toggle for the positioning up top. And again, just poking, prodding, charging up some ultimates of their own. Wraith Walk used, but there's nowhere to go here, and 1,000 is trying to capitalize. Kino. Yeah, what are you running from? Well, a lot of things actually is what it seems to be. And it looks like Team for Victory, they will get the res off again. Very bold, but again, they're still down 1. Nice shield bash. Rocket Foil able to come through as well. And Lucky Future just, again, being very distracting and pushing back.
Yeah, I respect that from MZ. He's just like, hey, I let the res come through, but back off, bro. Back off.
Yeah.
Good hold lockdown here from MZ as the holder, not letting Kino get in here into this high ground. Oh! Death Blossom immediately gets shut down. Oh, no.
By the shield bash Ming with the rocket punch up top, but can he find a way to actually find a kill? He won't. Lucky Future commit the Primal Rage to this fight as well, and they should sustain through it no problem. Doglight will find a silver lining. Supercharger question mark was also dropped. Team for Victory gets pushed back again.
Last team fight here, 20 seconds in the payload, quite literally parked in front of the door The capture was there, so I guess they're kind of looking into the future here for their win condition yet again. A Lucky Future have a few ultimates to play around with. Mello has not felt any pressure, builds up another pulse bomb. Sticks Zenyatta and the Transcendence, no value.
Not really. There was enough damage to at least help to take down Jimmy. A nice biotic grenade put into the doorway as well, keeping everybody from TFV low. And now they just need to make sure nobody touches the point. Wraithwalk will fade away. Kino will drop 1,000 just going from doorway to doorway, putting this Tesla cannon and some big old gorilla paws in people's faces. Lucky Future will hold right on the other side of those big double doors from Capture A.
Quite literally parked. It went through the doors and then it saw no further progress just because the sheer grit that is Lucky Future. They all got the close spawns and they all just absolutely collapsed on the opening that was that second capture point. And the one thing that you're seeing continuously coming through from Lucky Future is that they're punishing OR-15A and again exploiting one of the problems that Orisa just has in general with attacking points. You put down that one barrier, well, you know, it's your one barrier, and until you can put down another one in about 8 seconds, I believe. Yeah, you're pretty much just free ult charge at that point. 1,000's going to come in, get a lot of good charge and a lot of cleave at that. Everybody from Team for Victory are just stacked around the horse and getting absolutely manhandled by 1,000. A lot of spaces being created so that way Doglight, as they swapped over to Brigitte, could not shut down Mello consistently enough. They had all the tools shift, but it just wasn't executed properly. Ming got heavily dealt with there at the end as well. Good peeling and kiting from Since and Recall just to keep the backline sustained for Ming not to find as much value as we saw all the way back on Nepal, on Shrine specifically. But I cannot stress enough, just Lucky Future with these adaptations, even though they are losing some team fights when ultimates are being played out or one member gets caught out, they're bouncing back very well with their shield management, all things casted aside. They're firing off on all cylinders. They're recognizing their openings. They're not letting Team for Victory get a total control of the tempo of this game, and they're reaping the benefits because of it.
So far, so good for that appropriate and needed 4-0 that Lucky Future, again, needs to make sure they secure their spot in playoffs. Once again, coming to battle with Orisa is TFV, but now with the Hanzo for Ming, a little bit of a different switch up again, just trying everything. Now the double sniper setup comes out. Already up 25% for Ming. A different look, but again, I like this setup as well. It's a lot of burst potential if you can hit the shots.
Yeah, and it's all just to make Since very uncomfortable. I would assume that Since will probably go over to the Moira if not finding value on this Ana. It's going to be very hard to walk around these corners if Ming and Nico play this properly. There's a lot of sightlines that can't not be found. 1,000 taken incredibly low. Oh.
Yeah, I'm not really sure where he was headed to. I think is the biggest question. Looked like he was trying to make a hero play for a moment. So Lucky Future will have to delay and wait essentially for their main tank to come back to battle, which will allow Nico to set up a couple of shots, at least so he hopes. MZ being a distraction, Roses as well getting involved, and it allows 1,000 to come right back through the underneath car wash proverbial area. Mello, though, still at 0% charge. That needs to change if they want to have kill potential for Lucky Future.
Yeah, Team for Victory doing a good job not shooting the shields of Mello, not finding any value, but the one thing that they are finding value is a lot of damage, and Since is getting closer and closer to the Xana boost.
And even, again, the Orisa just not able to peel for the backline. Doglight taken down, as well as Niku. All of it from MZ just flailing away. Has the rally if needed. Death Blossom from, I don't even know where that was trying to hit. Dragon Strike also being utilized. Not enough damage in the tank. Lucky Future should surely be able to push this for the first checkpoint a day.
And Jimmy flying, schmoving around here, trying to find any values. Actually just got to be caught out here. The Valkyrie ends, and now he's just stuck out here on the tarp area. Everyone from Team for Victory doesn't have a support now as they all get split spawn shift, and the nano boost has been thrown over. Roses is rolling over them.
Roll credits. This one's about to be over as soon as those doors open and close. The payload already moving. Team fight already won. Team for Victory trying to get back for the reset, but they have to touch and contest. And Roses, yep, that wave will do it. Lucky Future hit the checkbox of victory and get themselves their playoff condition with the 4-0. A big congratulations for Lucky Future. Again, coming up, as LaFon had mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, a very difficult schedule as all things were considered for Team CC, that 2-3 loss. Let's get LaFon back into the picture here to see what he has to say about this new playoff team.
Yeah, we could truly consider them all things being done properly. So well done to Lucky Future. Congratulations, as we mentioned earlier. It's I'm happy to see. Actually, I think this is probably the best series against Team for Victory we've seen from anyone yet. So or we'll see for the remainder of the season. I think Lucky Future, you know, a lot of times when we saw Team for Victory in the past, it was messy, it was scrappy, it was people playing to Team for Victory's strengths. And even though Team for Victory didn't win, they didn't make it look good either. I think Lucky Future, they didn't play Team for Victory's game at all. And it showed. They won in a 4-0 in very dominant fashion. They looked like a completely different team. And I appreciate that. I appreciate what Lucky Future was able to accomplish. And I think this season, you know, it wasn't easy for them, but I think that the growth that they've experienced throughout the entirety of season 1 2019 has been massive. So congratulations to them for sure.
I mean, take it back from their week 4 loss against Flag Gaming, where they only took 1 map, and that was on Junkertown. Prior to that map alone, they only took 1 point. So to bounce back here, both mentally, setting themselves up for playoffs is very, very keen for them. They cannot let that go to waste. So, and playing this very basic, fundamental Overwatch is what's going to set themselves up for success in the playoffs, regardless of the matter, as we get the highlight package coming through here. Good iterations coming through, whether it's the main tank or the flex support since N1000, taking the swaps that need be, just to find continuous value and sustain in all of their compositions. It was mostly 3-3 from them today. Even the 3-2-1 when Mello came back on the Tracer, still very good Overwatch.
Yeah, I think it was really well done by Lucky Future. One player I want to highlight specifically is their main tank in 1000, because I think you know, it's very easy when you're the main tank to kind of feed when you're playing against a Reaper Doomfist combo or a Pharah Doomfist combo, because you know there's a lot of crowd control, there's a lot of areas where they're up in your grill, they're really forcing you to play in a way you don't want to. I think 1000 did a fantastic job of avoiding that and really made smart choices, smart decisions, and smart swaps too, to kind of keep himself and his team in the fight. So 1000 definitely has been a highlight for this match for me, and Lucky Future take the win off of it.
I second that. Definitely player of the match, creating the space, making his team look better, man.
Indeed, but we still have more Chinese contenders coming up. That was just set number 2. Rien and Heurix will be back with LaFon for our 3rd set, which will be LGD Gaming versus BTRG, Big Time Regal Gaming. Should be a really fun set, so we'll send things to a little bit of an abbreviated break when we come back, our 3rd and final set here in our first day of week 5. You don't want to miss it.